The Abbotsford real estate market has flipped with an increase in sales. In May 2025, detached sales for Abbotsford were up by 50%, and in East Abbotsford, detached home sales were up by 14% in comparison to April. Townhome sales were up by 91%, but not all homes are selling. The truth is, homes that are owner-occupied, priced at market value, and are showing well are selling, but the properties that are not moving are tenanted homes. If you have been in your home for 20-30 years and you're wondering whether it's time to make a change, today's video is for you. Today's video will be broken into 4 key sections. First, we'll talk about the recent interest rate announcement. In the second section, we'll talk about the Abbotsford detached and the East Abbey detached market and what it means for you. In section 3, we'll do a review of the Abbey townhome and condo market. In the last section, we'll talk about what all these stats mean for you as a homeowner and where I think the market is headed in the next 30 to 60 days. Let's get into it. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Gary Densa, and my only ask is if you find today's content valuable, please go ahead and hit the like button and subscribe button so we can keep bringing more content like this to you. If you want to book a meeting with my team and I, click the first link in the description below. Let's start with the recent Bank of Canada announcement. On June 4th, 2025, at the recent Bank of Canada announcement, they decided not to make any changes to interest rates, leaving their key rate at 2.75%. And this was expected just because of the economic uncertainty with the tariff war with the US. Also, the US president recently announced that he was going to raise tariffs on steel and aluminum, bringing them up from 25% to 50%. They didn't target Canada only, but targeted a number of countries worldwide. This was the key reason why Bank of Canada Governor Tim McCallum didn't make any changes to the interest rate. The next rate announcement will be on July 30th of 2025. If you want a full breakdown of what this Bank of Canada recent interest announcement means, click the video above to get a full overview. Next, let's move on to the Abbotsford detached market. The Abbey detached market represented a balanced market. Days on market were 25. Months of inventory was at 8. That one of the interesting things to note is sales were up by 50% in May in comparison to April. New listings were also up by 19.1%. What this means for you as a homeowner is that there is an increase in sales activity where buyers are becoming more engaged and showing a little bit more confidence in our Abbey real estate market. If you're thinking of selling your home, one of the key things that will determine whether you have a successful sale or not is A, if you list your home at market value, B, if the property is owner occupied, and last is the presentation of the home. I'm not going to go into those details here, but if you want a full overview of the key things that buyers are looking for and sellers should focus on when they're getting ready to list their home, click the video above. What we're seeing from the front lines is we're seeing more showing requests, increased attendance at open houses, and more importantly, more sales. Next, let's move on to the East Abbotsford detached market. The East Abbotsford detached market represented a seller's market at 23%. Days on market was 14, and months of inventory right now sits at 5.7. Sales in East Abbotsford were also up by 14%. One of the key things to note here for the East Abbotsford detached market is sale price was down by 8% and down by 6% in the Abbey detached market. And the reason for that is, folks, we're seeing an increase in listings and fewer buyers in the market. So right now, buyers have an advantage in the market because of the increased number of listings and due to lower competition. Because you have to remember, 50% of buyers right now are sitting on the sidelines, waiting to see what the outcome of the Canadian and US trade war is going to be. If you are a homeowner in East Abbotsford, just know that the East Abbotsford real estate market has been resilient. Last year, 10 out of the 12 months, the East Abbotsford detached market represented a seller's market, and we are seeing strong buyer demand in East Abbey. Next, let's talk about the Abbey townhome market. The Abbey townhome market also entered a seller's market in May. Average days on market was 23. Months of inventory right now is at 7%. One of the key things that you have to note is sales were up by 91% in May in comparison to April of 2025. Right now, the active number of listings, it's at 251, and the number of new listings increased by 12% month over month. So what we're seeing is townhomes that are priced well are selling. And this also tells us that there is strong demand from people looking to upgrade from a condo to a townhome, or those folks that are downsizing by selling their detached home that they've owned for 20 to 30 years. Next, let's talk about the East Abbey townhome market. The East Abbotsford townhome market represented a very strong seller's market at 36.6%. Days on market is 16, and months of inventory right now sits at 5.7. So what these stats are telling us is that there is demand and sales are taking place, and the strongest townhome market here in Abbotsford is East Abbey. Next, let's talk about the Abbey condo market. The Abbey condo market remained a balanced market at 13.1%. Days on market was 26, and months of inventory right now sits at 7 months. New listings right now are up by 10%. One thing that I think is going to happen is if we're seeing an increase in sales in detached home markets and townhome markets, eventually the sales for condos will pick up, because more importantly, the buyer for these quality 2-bed or 1-bedroom condos are first-time home buyers, and they're not privy to the interest rates that we were seeing 2 to 3 years ago. And if they're motivated and they're pre-approved, and working with the right real estate and team, they're going to be motivated to get into the market and out of the rental market. What these stats are telling us is that condos are still selling, but buyers are being selective of what unit or what complex they want to buy in. Remember at the beginning of the video, I said I was going to give you an overview of what these stats really mean for you. Here it is. What you need to remember as a homeowner, whether you own a detached home in West, Central, Popular, or East Abbotsford, is that homes are selling. But one of the most important things that will help determine a successful sale in any market, and even today's market, is listing your home at market value. The second thing is the presentation of your home. How does it show? Have you done any recent updates? Have you decluttered your home? Have you done any upgrades to? Have you highlighted the key reasons why you fell in love with your home 20, 30 years ago? It could be views of Mount Baker, a backyard that backs onto green space. Those are little things that all attract the right buyer for your home. What buyers are saying loud and clear is they want turnkey homes. They're not interested in buying a home that's tenant occupied or where they have to wait 3 to 4 months to get keys. The last thing is my prediction of the Abbey real estate market for all three categories over the next 30 to 60 days is I think we'll see things slow down. And that's because over the last 2 years, we've had a very reactive market. Every time Bank of Canada decided to pause or not cut interest rates, is what would happen is active buyers would move to the sidelines, waiting to see what would happen at the next rate announcement. That being said, folks, no one knows. This is just my prediction, but overall, just remember over the summer months, sellers and buyers are enjoying their summer holidays where they're traveling and enjoying the nice weather. And one of the interesting things that we are hearing now is trade talks between Canada and the US are heating up. And it's just my personal opinion, we should see some sort of trade resolution here pretty soon. And if that was to happen, we would see an increased consumer confidence in the Abbey real estate market, maybe early fall. Do you still have questions about what it really takes to have a successful home sale or things that you can do to improve your home? Download my free seller's guide by clicking the link below. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below about where you think the Abbey real estate market is headed in the next 30 to 60 days. If you found today's content valuable, please go ahead and hit the like button and subscribe button. I'm Gary Dinsa, and I'll see you next week.